Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Social Minds, and through this video we are going to start Civics Chapter 5 Judiciary. Judiciary system in India. Generally, whenever we talk about the judiciary, we mean the judges or the courts taken collectively. And even you may have watched films in which judges pronounces verdicts, means decisions of guilty or not guilty, and send a person to prison or set him free. Well, the judiciary performs many functions besides punishing the criminals and protecting the innocent from being exploited. There are so many other functions as well. So, before proceeding towards the functions, let's understand the features of the judicial system. For this, let's recall rule of law from the previous chapter. We have done this rule of law in understanding laws, and rule of law it means that laws apply equally to all persons and that a certain set of fixed procedures need to be followed when a law is violated. In simple term, rule of law provides equality to everyone. Whosoever committed a crime, the punishment could be given to that person according to the set procedures, irrespective of their position or status. So, rule of law applies the equality. Now, this rule of law, हमें पता है कि rule of law है. Clear? Now, how this rule of law can be ensured? क्लियर रूल ऑफ लॉ सिर्फ एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने दे दिया बट इफ इट इज नॉट इंश्योर्ड टू अस और इफ इट इज नॉट इन्फोर्स्ड देन देर इज नो यूज ऑफ दिस रूल ऑफ लॉ सो first of all, to enforce this law we have a judicial system. So first of all, why do we have judicial system? We have judicial system to enforce the rule of law. And in India we have judicial system with these two features: independent judiciary and unified and integrated judiciary. So we will study these features one by one. Now, what is the role of judiciary? I told you that the judiciary, the judges or the courts decides or even gives the punishment to the criminals and gives protection to the innocent people. Besides that, there are other functions also to be performed by the judiciary. So courts in India are responsible for handling and passing decisions on multiple issues. Now, what are these multiple issues? Now, first of all, the work of the judiciary can be categorized in three. The first one is dispute resolution, and then judicial review, and the third one we have upholding and enforcing fundamental rights. So let's begin with dispute resolution. Now, the judicial system provides a mechanism for resolving disputes. अब जुडिशरी का मतलब ही क्या है? अब जुडिशरी कोर्ट में कब जाएंगे? जब कोई डिस्प्यूट होगा, उस डिस्प्यूट से लेकर हमारा कोई नुकसान होगा, ठीक है, और उसके जस्टिस के लिए हम कोर्ट जाएंगे. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, दिस इज द मेन फंक्शन ऑफ द जुडिशरी, दैट टू डिसाइड और टू सॉर्ट आउट द डिस्प्यूट्स. And the disputes could be here between citizens. किसी भी दो इंडिविजुअल्स के बीच में ये डिस्प्यूट हो सकता है. फॉर एग्जांपल, वी कैन से दैट सिविल डिस्प्यूट कुड बी बिटवीन टू ब्रदर्स रिलेटेड टू प्रॉपर्टी और कुड बी बिटवीन टू फैमिलीज. Then we have a dispute between citizens and the government. Now here we can give the example related to fundamental rights, like suppose if a government pass some law and we think that that law is violating our fundamental rights, so we can appeal to the court against the government. Then between two states government, like there could be a dispute between the state government as well. And for this we have the example of Kaveri river water dispute. This dispute was between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka on the sharing of water of Kaveri river. So next we have between the center and the state government. Now the disputes could be between the center and the state government also, and here I have given the example of CAA, Citizen Amendment Act. Now here the views of the central government and the different state governments, means the state governments have the different approaches towards this. So the dispute could be like this also between the center and the state government. So this is the first function of the judiciary, that to settle down the disputes which could arise between citizens and the government, between two states government, and between the center and the state governments. Now the next function we have judicial review. This is very important. जुडिशियल रिव्यू. नाउ फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रिव्यू क्या होता है, लाइक हमने कोई काम किया, ठीक है, टू रिव्यू दैट वर्क अगेन इज द रिव्यू ऑफ दैट वर्क. एंड हियर जुडिशियल रिव्यू मीन्स टू रिव्यू द वर्क विच is being done by the legislature and the executive. So here judiciary has the power to strike down particular laws passed by the parliament, and parliament here means by the legislative bodies, if it believes that these are a violation of the basic structure of the constitution. Means the constitution has given the power to the judiciary to strike down, to cancel those laws if the laws violated our fundamental rights, or if the laws are against the basic structure of the constitution. And we know that laws are being made by the legislature, or we can say by the parliament. So if parliament work is against the fundamental right or against the basic structure of the constitution, then judiciary has the power to review those work. Next we have upholding the law and enforcing fundamental rights. Now judicial system ही क्यों है country में? To enforce the law, to enforce the rule of law. Clear? So every time the judiciary has to maintain or has to uphold the laws. Now according to this, every citizen of India can approach the Supreme Court or the High Court if they believe that their fundamental rights have been violated. And this we can better understand with the example of this Paschim Banga Mazdoor Samiti versus State of West Bengal. Now in this this is the case of actually the case study which you have already read in class 7th, the case study of Hakim Sheikh. Now Hakim Sheikh fell from a running train. He was an agricultural laborer, and he fell from a running train and injured himself, and his condition got worsened day by day because several hospitals refused to admit him. So after his recovery, he filed a case. He appealed to the court through this Paschim Banga Mazdoor Samiti. Clear? So he appealed to the court, High Court in West Bengal. There the High Court provides that every citizen has the fundamental right to life. This is the fundamental right according to Article 21, that we have right to life. Now in right to life, the High Court issues that right to life also provides right to health. Clear? So here the West Bengal, and this High Court directed the West Bengal government to pay compensation and provided blueprint for primary health care during emergencies. Clear? So this is a duty of the state government as well as of the central government to provide or to ensure the health of an individual in an emergency. Clear? So this article 21 is very important. This is the first one, that article 21 provides every citizen the right to life, which provides the right to health. And according to this case study, the High Court issued the West Bengal government to pay compensation to Hakim Sheikh. Here we have one fact related to the Supreme Court, that Supreme Court was established on 26 Jan 1950, the day when India became a republic. The predecessor of Supreme Court, means before the establishment of the Supreme Court, the Federal Court was there, which worked between 1937 to 1949, and it was earlier located in the Chamber of Prince in the Parliament House. It moved to its present building on Mathura Road in New Delhi in 1958. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का प्रीडिसर जो था फेडरल कोर्ट था, but soon the India became republic, the Supreme Court was established. Yes, now the next topic is, what is an independent judiciary? Now, before explaining this independent judiciary, let me ask you a question. Now, suppose you have such a judicial system where the judges are appointed by the politicians, or even the politicians has the power to dismiss the judges, means they can be removed by the political leaders only. So, do you think that any ordinary citizens like me or you stands a chance against a politician in this kind of judicial system? Quite obvious, your answer must be in no, because impartiality of judge and judiciary is most important in any country to seek justice. If the judges are appointed or removed by the political leaders, then judges could not be impartial. So how could the impartiality be maintained, or we can say how can the independence of judiciary be ensured? So here we have one concept which is called separation of power. Now think about this separation of power. You have done in chapter 1. This is the basic feature of Indian Constitution, and according to this concept, the three organs of the government, that legislature which makes the law, then executive which implements the law, and judiciary which checks the validity of the law and provides justice to the people. All these three organs are different and they cannot interfere in the working of each other. Now, legislature and executive, however, they are interconnected. Clear? But judiciary is free from the interference of legislature and executive. So this is the word separation of power. This separation of power provides independence to the judiciary. Now let's see how they provide independence. So here the first point is that legislature and executive cannot interfere in the work of judiciary. The courts are not under the government. जो हमारे हाई कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट हैं, they are not under the government and they do not act on their behalf. These courts are not the representatives of the legislature and executive. Clear? They are independent. Second, how this independence could be ensured? Now, this independence could be ensured that the judges to the Supreme Court and High Court are appointed with very little interference from other branches of the government by the president. Means president has the duty to appoint the judges to the High Court and Supreme Court. However, the list is prepared in which the legislature, means the parliament, can give their suggestions, but that are not obligatory on the president. President can appoint any person who meets the qualifications for becoming a judge to the Supreme Court or High Court. That person could be appointed by the president as a judge. Now, the third one, once they appointed, it is very difficult to remove them, because for removing the judges of the High Court and Supreme Court, a special procedure is there which is called impeachment. Clear? So they cannot be removed easily. So these 3 points actually makes our judiciary independent. Now, do you believe an independent judiciary is essential to democracy? Of course, yes. Our India is a democratic country and independence of judiciary is very important. But why it is important? The independence of judiciary allows the courts to play a central role in ensuring that there is no misuse of power by the legislature and the executive. Now, we people of India gives our power to the legislature. Clear? So legislature has the power. So judiciary ensured, independent judiciary ensured that there should be no misuse of power by these legislative and executive bodies. Then it plays a crucial role, a very important role in protecting the fundamental rights of citizens. So constitution has given us fundamental rights, and those fundamental rights are protected by our independent judiciary, because through the judiciary we can seek the justice in case if anybody encroached our fundamental rights. So this is the first feature of our judicial system, that is independent judiciary. Now the topic is, what is the structure of courts in India? First of all, the structure of court of India resembles like a pyramid from highest to the lowest level. So there are 3 levels of courts in India. The highest level, which is the apex level, we have Supreme Court, which is in Delhi, and it is presided by the Chief Justice of India, who is appointed by the President. At the state level, which is under the Supreme Court, we have the state level. Now this High Court is highest court at state level. This is very important to understand here. High Court is highest court but at state level. Supreme Court is the highest court in the country. Clear? तो country का सबसे highest court है Supreme Court. But whenever we talk about the highest court in state, then High Court. High Court is under the supervision of Supreme Court. Then at the third level or at the lowest level, we have district court at district level, or it's called as tehsil level also, or in towns presided by district judge. Clear? And this district court or the subordinate court is commonly known by different names, and these include the trial court or the court of the district judge, additional session judge, chief judicial magistrate, metropolitan magistrate, civil judge, like this. But the functions of all these courts are same. So for this structure of court in India, this you should know that the structure of courts in India resembles like a pyramid. Supreme Court is at the topmost, then High Court at the middle one, and the subordinate court is at the lower level. Besides these district court in India, we have the Lok Adalat also. Important facts related to the high courts. There are several pictures which you can see here. These are the pictures of high courts in the different parts of the country. Now, first of all, high courts were first established in three presidency cities of Calcutta. These were the first presidencies which were established by East India Company. So, or you can say the British government in India. So these were the first high courts which established in 1862. High Court of Delhi came up in 1966. Currently, there are 25 high courts, while many states have their own high courts, but there are examples also of the states which share a common high court, and the example of this is Punjab and Haryana. Punjab and Haryana share a common high court at Chandigarh, and even the northeastern states of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh, they also have a common high court at Guwahati. Now this Andhra Pradesh. Now Andhra Pradesh as a state divided into two, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So in 2014. So by 2019, the capital was different for Andhra Pradesh, Amravati, and Telangana, Hyderabad. And before 2019, they also shared a common high court in Hyderabad. But now from 1st Jan 2019, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana both have a separate high court in their capital district. Then some high courts have benches in other parts of the state for greater accessibility. Now see, like in this Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh, they have only common one high court. Now suppose in case of you can say a lot of work is there which needs more accessibility, or you can say the requirement of the more number of judges, like this. So some high courts, just to provide speedy justice or to provide access to the justice, they have the benches in other parts of the state also. Now first part we have done independence of judiciary. Clear? Now the second feature, this unified and integrated judiciary. Unified and integrated judiciary, and in the structure of court you have learnt that the courts in India resembles like a pyramid. Supreme Court at the topmost, then High Court, and then subordinate courts. Now the question here arises, are these courts connected to each other? क्या एक दूसरे से ये इंटरलिंक्ड हैं, वेदर दीज आर मीन्स डिपेंडेंट अपॉन ईच अदर और इंटरकनेक्टेड? So the answer for this is yes, the courts are connected to each other. Why they are connected to each other? Because we have an integrated judicial system. Integrated judicial system, meaning that the decisions made by higher courts are binding on the lower court. Suppose Supreme Court has given the decision on some case, so which was earlier, that case was earlier in the High Court, and the High Court gave different verdict on that, but Supreme Court verdict was different. So in that case, the decision of the higher court, and here higher court is Supreme Court, so the decision of the Supreme Court are binding on the lower court. Clear? And this system is called as the appellate system. This means that a person can appeal to a higher court if they believe that the judgment passed by the lower court is not just. Clear? So we can move, if we can move to the higher court if we feel that the decision given by the district court is not just. We can move to the High Court, and if we are not satisfied with the High Court, we can move to the Supreme Court. Clear? So here we have the example of one case, that is the state Delhi administration versus Lakshman Kumar and others, 1985. Now, what is this case about? Actually, this case is about the dowry. Clear? So, this case, like in February 1980, Lakshman Kumar married 20-year-old Sudha Goyal, and they lived in a flat in Delhi with Lakshman's brothers and their family. And on 2nd December 1980, Sudha died in hospital due to burns. Her family, Sudha's family, filed a case in court. When this case was heard in the trial court, four of her neighbors were called in as witnesses. They stated that they had heard Sudha scream and had forced their way into Lakshman's flat. There they saw Sudha standing with her sari in flames. Sudha told them that her mother-in-law Shakuntala had poured kerosene oil on her and that her husband Lakshman had lit the fire. So during the trial, members of Sudha's family and a neighbor stated that Sudha had been subjected to torture by her in-laws and that they were demanding more cash, a scooter and a fridge on the birth of the first child. Clear? So they filed a case of dowry against Lakshman Kumar and his family. But Lakshman Kumar, as a part of their defense, he stated that Sudha Sari had accidentally caught fire while she was heating milk. So Lakshman Kumar had given the statement like this. But on the basis of the trial proceedings and the availability of the evidences, the trial court, here the trial court means the subordinate court. Now this subordinate court convicted Lakshman, his mother Shakuntala and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra and sentenced all three of them to death. So here subordinate court gave the death sentence to all three people. Now here Sudha family was happy because the decision was in the favor of them. But Lakshman Kumar had a right. Lakshman Kumar was not satisfied with the verdict of this subordinate court. So Lakshman Kumar decided to file a case in the High Court. So in November 1983, the three accused यहाँ पर कौन थे? Lakshman Kumar, his mother and his brother Subhash. So the three accused went to High Court to appeal against the verdict of the trial court. Then the High Court, after hearing the arguments of all the lawyers, they gave verdict that Sudha had died due to an accidental fire caused by the kerosene stove. So Lakshman, Shakuntala and Subhash Chandra were acquitted. They were set free by the High Court. Now see, here the decision of the High Court and subordinate court was entirely different. Subordinate court ने क्या decision दिया था? Death sentence का. High Court ने उनको free कर दिया. Now here Lakshman Kumar is satisfied, but Sudha family not. So Sudha family had a right to move to the Supreme Court. So with the help of women group organization in 1985, they filed a case in the Supreme Court. And before that, even there were some protests also against dowry death. So this case was actually became a case of state, Delhi state. So in 1985, the Supreme Court heard this appeal against the acquittal of Lakshman and the two members of his family. The Supreme Court heard the arguments of the lawyers and reached a decision that was entirely different from that of the High Court. Now, here the Supreme Court found Lakshman and his mother guilty, but acquitted the brother-in-law Subhash. ठीक है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को क्या पता चला ऑन द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ एविडेंसेस, और उसने क्या वर्डिक्ट दिया कि लक्ष्मण और उसकी मदर तो गिल्टी हैं, लेकिन उसका जो ब्रदर इन लॉ सुभाष है वो गिल्टी नहीं है. सो सुभाष वॉज एक्विटेड एंड punishment was the life imprisonment was given to Lakshman and his mother. So here the decision of Supreme Court was bonded by the High Court and the subordinate court. Clear? So in this way we can say that our judicial system is unified and integrated. Now, the next topic is different branches of the legal system. Different branches of the legal system, there are two laws, criminal law and civil law. Criminal law deals with the cases with such offences which are against the law, like theft, harassing a woman to bring more dowry, murder, and these criminal cases generally begins with the FIR, and on the basis of that FIR, investigations will be done by the police, and then case is filed in the court, and if found guilty, the accused can be sent to jail and also fined. Whereas civil law deals with any harm or injury to rights of individuals, for disputes, for civil disputes related to the divorce, related to the marriage, like this. And for this, petition has to be filed in the relevant court, and then the court gives the specific relief asked for. Like here we can give the example of Domestic Violence Act as well, and even a simple issue also, the dispute between a landlord and a tenant. Now, does everyone have access to the courts? Yes, theoretically we can say, constitutionally we can say that every citizen has a right to justice through the courts. But in reality, the access to court has always been difficult for a vast majority of the poor in India. Why? These lot of money, paperwork and time consuming, these are the stumbling blocks in the access of justice. So what did government do to resolve this? Supreme Court devised a mechanism in the 1980s which is called public interest litigation to access the justice by all. So let's understand what is public interest litigation. The Supreme Court developed this PIL, public interest litigation, in 1980s to increase access to justice. So just to avoid the use of money or the lengthy procedure, this was the initiative taken by the Supreme Court by developing this mechanism. And this mechanism is very simple because it allowed any individual or organization to file a PIL in the High Court or the Supreme Court on behalf of those whose rights were being violated. Means here it is not necessarily that if somebody, like if suppose if if my fundamental rights are being violated, if I am exploited, so only this is my duty to file a case on behalf of mine. Anybody could file a PIL if my case is related to the public at large also. Then the proceedings are very simple to file a PIL, because even a letter or telegram addressed to the Supreme Court or the High Court could be treated as PIL. So no lengthy paperwork is required to file a PIL. There is no need to there is no need of lawyers as well for filing the PIL. Now these are the cases which were taken under the PIL in the early years of this public interest litigation. The first one case is for rescuing bonded laborers from inhumane work condition. Now and the second one is for securing the release of prisoners in Bihar who had been kept in jail even after their punishment term was complete. Now see, in these two cases the fundamental rights were being violated, because first of all, this bonded laborers, means bonded labor was banned by the Indian Constitution, and even this freedom, right to freedom, is given to us by the Constitution. But here the police authorities did not release the prisoners, although the punishment term was complete, but they didn't release them. So in both the cases the fundamental rights were being violated. So the organization NGOs filed a PIL and gets the justice for these people. The third one we have for providing midday meal in government and government aided school. Now this was done by the protest which were carried out by the people, and then the NGO took the initiative to file a case related to this. And after the decision or the guidelines given by the Supreme Court in this case, the Supreme Court gave the guidelines to the state government that this is the duty of the state government to provide the midday meal in government and government aided school. And this midday meal is actually related to this article 21. Earlier also we have read this article 21 in the chapter where we have done the case study of Hakim Sheikh. There article 21, right to life provides right to health as well. So right to health was added in article 21. So here right to food is added in article 21. So the PIL, generally in short we can say PIL में वो cases लिए जाते हैं by the High Court और Supreme Court जहाँ पर पब्लिक का इंटरेस्ट होता है, जहाँ पर पब्लिक का कंसर्न होता है. क्लियर? So this PIL is really very useful mechanism. So this is all about the chapter, and I hope all the points are clear to you. So stay tuned for the next video. Till then, keep learning and have a nice day.